3 months after my brother lost our father's estate in court, I received a message from a man who had been dead for 12 years. It contained 4 words. Raven 6, he survived. There was no number attached to it, no location, no signature, just the name I had used during Operation Silent Lantern, and a claim I had spent more than a decade trying not to imagine. Marcus Reed had been my communications sergeant, my closest friend, and the last member of my team I had failed to bring home. The military classified him as presumed dead. I had carried his dog tags beneath my shirt ever since. I read the message 14 times before calling General Thomas Caldwell. He answered on the second ring. "Elena? Did you send me something?" His silence lasted too long. "What kind of something?" "A message about Marcus." I heard a chair move on his end. "Where are you?" "At the recovery center." "Are you alone?" "Yes. Lock the door." I crossed my father's old office and turned the lock. "Done. Read it to me exactly." I did. Caldwell breathed out slowly. "Do not answer it. There's nothing to answer. It didn't come from a normal number. Then delete it. You know I'm not going to do that." "Elena, there are reasons Silent Lantern remains sealed. 12 years is a long time to hide a failed operation." "It was not a failed operation. Marcus didn't come home." "That doesn't mean you failed." I closed my eyes. Caldwell had repeated those words for years. They had never become easier to believe. "Did you know he might be alive?" "No." It was a quick answer. Too quick. "General, I did not know. Did you suspect it?" Another silence. Before he could answer, someone knocked on the office door. 3 precise knocks. A pause, then 2 more. It was the emergency recognition pattern my team had used overseas. I ended the call and moved toward the door without making a sound. There was no weapon in my hand, but my body remembered exactly how to prepare for one. I looked through the narrow glass panel. A teenage girl stood in the hallway. She had dark hair, a gray hooded sweatshirt, and a cardboard package pressed against her chest. I opened the door halfway. "Colonel Hayes?" "Yes. My name is Sophie Reed." For several seconds, I could not speak. I had last seen Marcus's daughter at his memorial service. She had been 18 months old, asleep in her mother's arms, while a chaplain described a father she would never remember. Sophie was 13 now. She had Marcus's brown eyes. "My mother doesn't know I'm here," she said. I opened the door fully. "What happened?" She handed me the package. "My uncle says we have to leave our house by Friday." "Which uncle?" "Nathan. Marcus's older brother." I had met Nathan Reed only 4 times, and every meeting had ended with him blaming me for Marcus's disappearance. "What's in the box?" "Something my dad left for me." I looked at her. "Your father disappeared before you were 2. "I know. Why are you bringing it to me now?" "Because it turned on last night." Inside the box was an old military field recorder. The casing was scratched, the battery compartment had been sealed with dark tape, and a faded strip beneath the screen carried 6 handwritten characters, R6 M217. A code Marcus and I had used when normal communications were compromised. My pulse changed. What happened when it turned on? Sophie removed a folded piece of paper from her pocket. It showed this. The paper contained a string of numbers followed by one sentence. "As asked Raven 6, who left the light on?" I stared at the words. Only one person had ever asked me that question, Marcus Reed. During our last night in the field, he had looked at the signal lamp in our temporary command post and joked, "Who left the light on?" 7 hours later, he disappeared. "Where did you find the recorder?" "In my grandfather's safe." "Why did your uncle give it to you?" "He didn't. Grandma did before she died." "When was that?" 2 weeks ago. I placed the recorder on my desk. "Tell me about the house." Sophie looked down. "My grandmother left it to my mother and me. At least, that's what she always said. But Uncle Nathan says the trust is empty and the house belongs to his company now." "What company?" "Reed Valor Group." I had heard the name. Nathan had built the company around speaking engagements, military-themed leadership seminars, and a charitable foundation carrying Marcus's name. He had turned his missing brother into a brand. "Has he shown your mother any documents?" "He brought a lawyer yesterday." "What did the lawyer say?" "That Mom signed something 5 years ago." "Did she?" "She says she doesn't remember." I looked at Marcus's daughter standing in my father's office, trying to remain calm while the adults around her dismantled her home. "Where is your mother now?" "Packing." I picked up my coat. "She can stop." The Reed family house stood outside Alexandria, Virginia, on a quiet street lined with old oak trees. Marcus had purchased it 6 months before his final deployment. He had sent me photographs of every room: the unfinished nursery, the fireplace Laura wanted to replace, the back garden where he planned to teach Sophie how to throw a baseball. He never spent a single night there. When Sophie and I arrived, a moving truck was parked beside the curb. 2 men were carrying furniture through the front door. I stepped out of the car. "Put that down." One of the men was holding a wooden chest. He looked toward the house. A tall man in an expensive charcoal suit appeared on the porch. Nathan Reed was 51 now, with silver beginning at his temples. He had Marcus's height but none of his warmth. His expression hardened when he saw me. "Elena Hayes, Nathan." He descended the steps. "I didn't invite you." "Sophie did." He looked at his niece. "You went behind your mother's back?" Sophie moved closer to me. "Where is Laura?" I asked. "Inside." "And why are strangers removing her furniture?" "This property has been transferred to Reed Valor Group." "By whom?" "My mother." "Your mother died 2 weeks ago." "She made the transfer before her death. Then you won't mind showing me the deed." He smiled. "You still think every room becomes your command center the moment you walk into it?" "No, only rooms where people are being threatened." Nathan stepped close enough that Sophie could no longer hear him clearly. "You had 12 years to play the grieving hero," he said. "Stay away from my family." "Marcus was my family." His jaw tightened. "You lost the right to say his name." "I didn't lose him by choice." "You were his commanding officer." "Yes, and he disappeared under your command." I held his gaze. "That is true." The admission surprised him. Nathan had rehearsed this argument for years, but he had always expected me to deny responsibility. He had never understood that command was not about avoiding blame. It was about carrying what remained after everyone else had gone home. He glanced at my civilian clothes. "No uniform today?" "I didn't think I would need one to stop an illegal eviction." "You have no authority here." "Then call the police." The movers stopped working. Nathan looked toward them. "Continue." Neither man moved. I took out my phone. Nathan's voice sharpened. "What are you doing?" "Calling the county clerk to verify ownership." "You don't have permission." "Property records are public." He stepped in front of me. "You think your classified career frightens me?" "I haven't mentioned my career." "You never have to. You stand there waiting for people to imagine you're important." I pressed the call button. Nathan grabbed my wrist. I looked down at his hand. "Let go." Something in my voice made him release me. Laura Reed appeared in the doorway. She looked thinner than I remembered. Her dark hair was tied carelessly behind her head, and her face carried the exhausted stillness of someone who had stopped expecting help. "Elena?" I ended the call. "Laura." She crossed the porch and embraced me before either of us could decide whether it was appropriate. When she stepped back, her eyes filled with tears. "You came. Sophie found me." Laura looked at her daughter. "I told you not to involve anyone." "Mom, he's taking our house." Nathan turned toward Laura. "The transfer was legal." "You told me the papers were for the foundation. They were part of the restructuring. You said they protected Sophie's trust." "They did." I looked at him. "Where is the trust money?" "That is confidential." "Not from Sophie's legal guardian." Nathan's attorney came through the doorway carrying a folder. Colonel Hayes has no standing in this matter. I recognized him from television advertisements for high-value estate disputes. Then you should have no concern about showing me the transfer. He handed me a copy. The deed had been signed 5 years earlier. Laura's signature appeared at the bottom. The document transferred her interest in the property to Reed Valor Group in exchange for $1 and continued family support. I examined the notary stamp. Laura, where were you on March 18th 5 years ago? She thought for a moment. At Fort Belvoir Hospital. Why? Sophie had her appendix removed. Were you there all day? For 3 days. Nathan crossed his arms. That proves nothing. I looked at the notary's name. It proved enough to begin. The notary had certified that Laura personally appeared in an office in Richmond at 2:15 that afternoon. Fort Belvoir was more than 90 miles away. Stop the move, I said. Nathan laughed. You don't give orders here. I turned to the movers. This deed contains a potentially fraudulent notarization. If you remove property after being notified of a disputed transfer, you may become witnesses in a criminal case. The 2 men immediately carried the chest back inside. Nathan's face reddened. His attorney lowered his voice. We should pause until the document is reviewed. Nathan stared at me. You always did enjoy making an entrance. No, I said. I enjoy making people show their paperwork. We gathered in the living room. Marcus's photographs covered one wall. There were pictures from high school, his first enlistment, his wedding, and Sophie's birth. Nathan's company logo had been placed beneath several of them. Reed Valor Group. Leadership forged in sacrifice. I picked up a brochure from the table. Nathan's photograph appeared beside a paragraph describing him as a military crisis specialist, shaped by frontline loss. What branch did you serve in? I asked. His expression changed. You know I was in the Navy. For how long? 6 years. Active duty, reserve, and active support. Were you deployed? His attorney interrupted. This has nothing to do with the property. Nathan smiled. I don't need to justify my service to her. No, I said, but your donors may want clarification. He took the brochure from my hand. Unlike you, I didn't spend 20 years hiding behind sealed files. Unlike me, you appear to have spent 12 years selling someone else's. Laura sat beside Sophie. What happened to the foundation accounts, Nathan? The market changed. You told us there were more than $4 million. There were operational expenses. What operations? I asked. Veterans retreats, leadership programs, public outreach. Did Marcus ask you to use his name? He was my brother. That wasn't my question. Nathan walked toward the fireplace. When Marcus disappeared, this family was destroyed. My mother stopped sleeping. Laura could barely leave the house. Sophie had no father. He faced me. And you came to the memorial in uniform, accepted everyone's sympathy, and disappeared again. I returned to duty. You returned to the career that killed him. Laura closed her eyes. Nathan continued. I stayed. I built something from the wreckage. You built a business. I built a legacy. You put your own face above his name. His expression became cold. At least I was here. The accusation was familiar. My brother Aaron had used the same words after our father died. People who exploit grief often believe proximity makes them virtuous. They count the days they were physically present and ignore what they did while standing there. Sophie held the old recorder on her lap. Nathan noticed it. Where did you get that? She tightened her grip. Grandma gave it to me. His face changed completely, not anger, fear. He crossed the room. Give it to me. I stepped between them. Why? It belongs to the family archive. Sophie is family. It may contain classified material. You didn't seem concerned about classified material when you accused me of inventing my service. Nathan looked at the recorder. Marcus sent equipment home all the time. Most of it was useless. Then why do you want it? His attorney touched his arm. We should leave. Nathan ignored him. That device belonged to my brother. I leaned closer, and it recognized my call sign. He stopped moving. For the first time, I knew with certainty that Nathan understood more about the recorder than he was admitting. "Who left the light on?" I asked. His eyes flickered. Laura looked between us. "What does that mean?" Nathan recovered quickly. "Nothing. More of her secret soldier theater." He picked up his folder. "You have 48 hours to vacate. If you interfere again, I'll seek a restraining order." I watched him walk toward the door. "Nathan." He turned. "I am going to examine every transaction connected to Sophie's trust." He smiled, but his eyes remained fixed on the recorder. "You don't control military families just because soldiers once followed your orders." "No." I looked toward Marcus's photographs. "But Marcus trusted me with something you never understood." "What?" "The truth." Nathan left without answering. That evening, Laura showed me the trust documents. Marcus had created a survivor trust before his final deployment. Laura was the primary trustee. His mother, Evelyn Reed, was the secondary trustee. A third name was concealed in a sealed military attachment. The attachment was missing. Nathan had become trustee after Evelyn was declared medically incapable of serving. That declaration had been signed by a physician who also sat on the board of Reed Valor Group. Over 5 years, more than $3 million had disappeared. The trust had paid Nathan's company for consulting, security assessments, property management, and licensing rights to Marcus's name. Laura had signed some of the payments. She claimed she had not understood them. I believed her. Nathan had waited until grief, debt, and exhaustion made every document look like rescue. Then he had placed a pen in her hand. "Why didn't you call me?" I asked. Laura looked toward Sophie's bedroom. "Because Nathan told me you refused to speak to us." "I never received a call." "He said you blamed Marcus for what happened." My hand tightened around the trust agreement. "I never blamed him. He showed me a letter." "What letter?" Laura opened a drawer and removed a photocopy. The page carried my name at the bottom. The letter said Marcus had disobeyed a direct order during Silent Lantern and endangered the entire team. It advised the Reed family not to contact me again. The signature looked convincing. It was not mine. "When did Nathan give you this?" 11 years ago. He had not simply stolen money. He had used my silence to isolate Marcus's family from the one person who might have protected them. I folded the letter carefully. "Laura, I need you to do something difficult." "What?" "Let Nathan believe the recorder does not work." "Why?" "Because he is afraid of it. And if there's nothing on it," I looked at the dark screen, "then we find out what he thinks is there." Nathan's mother had planned her 70th birthday dinner months before her death. She had reserved the ballroom of a military hotel, invited relatives, veterans, and donors, and requested that the evening become a fundraiser for Sophie's education. Nathan refused to cancel it. Instead, he converted the event into a memorial gala promoting Reed Valor Group. Marcus's face appeared on banners throughout the ballroom. Nathan's name appeared beneath it. Laura wanted to stay home. I convinced her to attend. "You cannot let him rewrite your family while you hide from the room," I told her. I wore a simple black dress, no uniform, no ribbons, no rank. The recorder remained locked in Noah Bennett's office, while his technical team examined it. Nathan greeted guests beside a display of military memorabilia. He wore miniature medals on his tuxedo jacket. None belonged to him. At the head table sat Sergeant Major Owen Price, a retired Marine in his late 70s. His back was straight, his hands large and scarred. I recognized him immediately. He had been inside the compound during Silent Lantern. He did not appear to recognize me. Nathan approached our table during dinner. "I'm surprised you came." "I was invited by Sophie. This event honors my brother. Then his wife and daughter should be here." He looked toward the other guests. Several reporters were present. Nathan raised his voice slightly. "I hope tonight helps Elena understand what real service looks like." The conversation around us softened. Laura whispered, "Nathan, stop." He smiled. "No, it's time we clear something up." He addressed the table. "Colonel Hayes has allowed my family to believe she was part of some elite combat unit. I have never told your family that. Because you never tell anyone anything. That's usually how classified work functions." A few guests laughed politely. Nathan had been drinking, and their reaction encouraged him. "My brother was the one in danger," he said. "Marcus was the one who went into the field." I looked at him. "You were not there." "Neither were you. Most of the time." The room became quiet. Nathan pointed toward me with his wine glass. "You worked communications and logistics. You sat behind screens while people like Marcus did the real work." Owen Price lifted his head. Nathan continued. "You have never been on a real mission in your life." Laura stood. "That's enough." I touched her arm. "It's all right," Nathan laughed. "There it is, the famous Colonel Hayes discipline. Stand still, say nothing, and let everyone imagine the rest." Owen Price looked directly at me. "What unit were you with, Mom? I'm not discussing that here." "What was your call sign?" Nathan rolled his eyes. "This is ridiculous." Owen did not look away from me. "What was your call sign?" he repeated. I could have refused, but the anonymous message, the recorder, and Nathan's fear had changed the meaning of silence. Raven 6. Owen's chair scraped against the floor. He stood so quickly that a server nearly dropped a tray. His face had gone pale. "Say that again." Raven 6. He raised his right hand. The salute was slow and imperfect because of arthritis, but the room understood it. "Oh my God," he whispered. Nathan stopped smiling. Owen looked around the ballroom. "Anyone here from the Talon evacuation?" 7 people rose. "Northgate recovery." 4 more stood. "Red corridor?" Another 6. Men and women across the room pushed their chairs back. Some wore suits, some wore old uniforms. One used a cane. 27 people stood in silence. Owen faced them. "This is Raven 6. A woman near the stage covered her mouth. A former Army medic said, "She brought us out." Nathan looked from one veteran to another. Owen lowered his salute. "You were the voice in the building," he said to me. "Yes. You told us to follow the emergency lights." "Yes. The West Corridor collapsed 30 seconds after the last person cleared it." "I remember." He shook his head. "We were told you died. Someone wanted you to believe that." Nathan stepped backward. The room was no longer looking at the banners bearing his name. They were looking at me. I hated the attention, not because I was ashamed of what I had done, but because every story of rescue contained names that did not return. Marcus is among them. Owen turned toward Nathan. "You said she had never been on a real mission?" Nathan's face tightened. I was repeating what my brother told the family. "No," I said. "You were repeating a letter you forged." The room fell silent again. Laura placed the photocopy on the table. Nathan looked at it. His attorney, seated several tables away, stood immediately. "Nathan, do not say anything." But humiliation had already taken control of him. "You think a few old soldiers standing up proves anything?" Owen stared at him. "It proves you should have asked before using the word coward." Nathan looked at me. "This is exactly what you wanted." "No." I rose. What I wanted was for Sophie to keep her home. I turned toward the donors. The Reed Family Trust has lost more than $3 million through payments to Nathan's company. The property bearing Marcus's name is being transferred through a document signed while Laura Reed was in a hospital 90 miles away. Nathan's attorney moved toward the stage. "This is defamatory. Then file suit." Nathan's eyes narrowed. "I already have." A hotel employee entered from the lobby carrying an envelope. Nathan took it and handed it to Laura. She opened it. Her hands began to shake. "What is it?" Sophie asked. Laura looked at me. "A court summons." Nathan smiled again. "I'm asking the court to remove Laura as Sophie's guardian and appoint me trustee of the entire Reed estate." Sophie stood beside her mother. "You can't do that. I'm trying to protect you. You're taking our house. I am protecting what your father left behind." She stared at him. "My father left us." Nathan's smile disappeared. I stepped between them. "You wanted court," I said. He looked at me. "You're going to get it." Nathan's petition accused Laura of financial incompetence and me of manipulating a vulnerable military family. He claimed the field recorder contained government property illegally removed from a restricted facility. Most importantly, he stated under oath that he had never seen the recorder before the gala. That lie gave me what I needed. Noah Bennett arranged for the device to be examined at a secure laboratory. Its internal battery had been dormant for 11 years. 3 weeks earlier, someone had transmitted a wake signal. The signal activated only one file. A 6-second audio clip played when I entered the correct response to Marcus's question. "Who left the light on?" The response was, "The man who was never there." The recorder unlocked. Most of its memory had been erased. One folder remained. It contained financial routing codes, several photographs, and an encrypted audio message. The photographs showed Nathan meeting a man outside a private aviation terminal 12 years earlier. Victor Kane, the name my father had written in his final letter. Nathan had known Kane before Marcus disappeared. The audio file was more disturbing. Marcus's voice was weak and distorted. "Elena, if you hear this, the breach came from home, not command. Home." Static followed then. Nathan gave Kane the family contact manifest. He said it was for insurance verification. He didn't know what Kane wanted. The recording stopped. Laura sat beside me in Noah's conference room, one hand covering her mouth. Sophie's name was on that manifest? Yes. Why would Nathan give it to him? Money, access, or both? Noah leaned against the table. "Does the file prove Nathan knew he was assisting an intelligence breach?" "No." "Can we use it in probate court?" "Not without authorization." Laura looked at me. "Then he gets away with it." "No." I examined the financial routing codes. They're not military coordinates. "What are they?" "Bank identifiers." Marcus had hidden the location of money inside a tactical recording. The codes led to a dormant account in Luxembourg. Its original balance had been $1.8 million. The account beneficiary was Reed Strategic Consulting, an entity registered 9 days before Marcus disappeared. The current balance was 0, but the transfer history survived. Over the past 5 years, money from that account had moved into Reed Valor Group. Nathan had not begun stealing from the family trust because he needed money. He had begun because he had spent years believing the money was already his. We gave federal investigators the account information. Then we allowed Nathan to continue. He filed an affidavit claiming he had no prior connection to Victor Kane. He had never received foreign funds. He had never seen Marcus's recorder. All trust payments were legitimate. I had fabricated my role in Silent Lantern. Each statement was a door closing behind him. At Noah's suggestion, Laura offered a settlement. She would surrender the house and resign as trustee if Nathan provided complete financial disclosure. He refused. He believed disclosure was more dangerous than court. He was right. The hearing took place 6 weeks later. Nathan arrived with 3 attorneys and a public relations consultant. Laura sat beside Noah. Sophie remained outside with a family counselor until the judge requested her testimony. I sat in the second row wearing civilian clothes. Nathan had objected to my presence at counsel's table, claiming I was using military rank to influence the court. Judge Harriet Vale entered. "All rise." Everyone stood. After the judge took her seat, Nathan's lead attorney began with Laura. He described her as emotionally unstable, financially dependent, and incapable of protecting Sophie's inheritance. Nathan watched her testimony with the expression of a man already choosing curtains for someone else's house. Then his attorney called me. I took the witness stand. "Colonel Hayes," he began, "is that how you prefer to be addressed?" "Elena is fine." but you continue using the title publicly. I was addressed by rank in the court filing. Your military history is largely inaccessible, correct? Parts of it. So the court is expected to accept your claims without evidence. No. Were you Marcus Reed's commanding officer? Yes. Did he disappear during an operation under your authority? Yes. Did you bring him home? No. Nathan looked toward the judge. His attorney paused to let the answer remain in the room. Yet you now claim to be the person best suited to protect his family. I claim Nathan Reed forged documents and diverted trust funds. Please answer the question. I am not trying to replace Laura as Sophie's guardian. But you have inserted yourself into their lives. Sophie came to me because you encouraged her to see her uncle as an enemy. No. You attended a memorial gala and announced allegations of theft in front of donors. After Nathan announced that Laura was being taken to court, you deliberately humiliated him. I looked at Nathan. He did that without assistance. A quiet laugh moved through the gallery. The attorney frowned. Is it true your military call sign was Raven 6? Yes. And you arranged for veterans to stand during the gala when you announced that name? No. You expect us to believe 27 people rose spontaneously? Yes. Nathan whispered something to his attorney. The lawyer smiled. Perhaps they believed the same exaggerated stories you have told, the Reed family. A voice from the gallery interrupted. We believed the woman who carried me for 200 yards. Judge Vale looked up. Owen Price, you will remain silent unless called. Yes, Your Honor. Nathan's attorney turned toward him. We would be happy to hear the sergeant major's story. Noah stood. We have already listed Mr. Price as a rebuttal witness. Then call him. Owen walked slowly to the stand. After taking the oath, he gave his name and service history. Nathan's attorney approached. Did Colonel Hayes carry you 200 yards? Closer to 240. Was she under fire? Yes. Did you see the person firing? No. Then you cannot know she was under fire. Owen stared at him. I had 2 bullets in me. I recognized the sound. Several people in the gallery shifted. The attorney changed direction. You have great respect for Colonel Hayes. I do. Enough to exaggerate. No. What was her actual position? Mission commander. Were you aware that Marcus Reed disappeared under her command? Yes. Did she abandon him? Owen looked toward me. No. How do you know? Because Marcus ordered us to leave him. My breath stopped. I had never known Owen heard that exchange. Nathan leaned forward. Owen continued. The extraction aircraft could not hold position. Marcus had the evidence Kane's people wanted. He told Raven 6 he would take the Eastern Passage and draw them away. The judge looked toward the sealed documents on her desk. What did Colonel Hayes do? She refused. Owen's voice softened. She went back for him. Nathan's attorney glanced at his notes. Did she find him? No. Then your testimony does not change the fact that he was lost. Owen faced Nathan. No. But it changes the lie that she left him. Judge Vale called a brief recess while military counsel reviewed the scope of the testimony. As people stood, Nathan walked past me. Still couldn't bring him home, he whispered. I looked at him. You knew Kane before the operation. He stopped. You don't know what you're talking about. Then you won't mind saying that under oath. His face tightened. When court resumed, Noah called Nathan. Nathan presented himself as a grieving brother. He said he had built Reed Valor Group to preserve Marcus's memory. He claimed every payment was approved by Laura or his mother. He denied forging the deed. He denied knowing Victor Kane. Then Noah placed a photograph on the courtroom screen. Nathan and Kane stood beside a private aircraft. The date stamp was 12 years old. Nathan stared at it. Do you recognize the man beside you? Noah asked. No. You signed an affidavit stating you had never met Victor Kane. I don't remember every person I've met. The aircraft was registered to Kane Strategic Solutions. I attended hundreds of business events. You had just started your consulting company. I was exploring opportunities. Did Mr. Kane transfer money to you? No. Noah displayed the Luxembourg account. Nathan's attorney objected. The judge allowed the question. Was Reed Strategic Consulting your company? No. It used your home address. I don't know why. It used your social security number. Nathan looked toward his attorney. The attorney did not move. Noah continued. Did Victor Kane pay your company $1? 8 million 9 days before your brother disappeared? No. Did you provide him with a family contact manifest? No. Did you forge Colonel Hayes' letter to Laura Reed? No. Had you ever seen the field recorder before the memorial gala? No. No lifted a remote. Security footage appeared. It had been recorded inside Nathan's mother's assisted living room 4 months earlier. Nathan stood beside her safe. He removed the field recorder, examined it, and placed it back. His mother's voice could be heard from the bed. That belongs to Sophie. Nathan answered. It belongs to me now. Noah paused the footage. Nathan's face drained of color. Would you like to change your answer? His attorney stood. My client invokes his right against self-incrimination. Judge Vale looked at Nathan. This is a civil proceeding. I may draw an adverse inference from your refusal. Nathan's hands tightened. Noah introduced the forged deed. Hospital records proving Laura could not have appeared before the notary and financial transfers from Sophie's trust to Nathan's companies. Then the federal investigator entered the courtroom. Nathan's attorney whispered urgently to him. Nathan turned toward Laura. You did this. Laura shook her head. You did. You signed the papers. You told me they protected Sophie. I kept this family alive. You sold Marcus's name. Nathan looked toward me. This was always about her. I remained seated. He pointed at me. She couldn't save him, so she needed someone else to punish. Judge Vale struck her gavel. Mr. Reed, sit down. No. Everyone treats her like some hero because soldiers stood up in a ballroom. His voice rose. She hid for 12 years while I dealt with what she left behind. I stood slowly. You had contact with Victor Kane before Marcus disappeared. You cannot prove what I knew. No. I looked towards Sophie, who had entered the courtroom with the counselor. But I can prove what you did afterward. Sophie held the field recorder. Nathan stared at it. The laboratory had recovered one final section that activated, only in her presence. Marcus had programmed the recorder to identify a biometric sequence linked to Sophie's infant medical bracelet. She placed her thumb on the sensor. The screen lit up. A video appeared on the courtroom monitor. Marcus Reed sat inside a dark room. His face was bruised. His uniform torn. The timestamp was 12 years old. Elena, he said. If this reaches you, Kane had help accessing the family network. He breathed with difficulty. Nathan gave him the list. I don't know if he understood what it was. But if he uses my name, stop him. Nathan closed his eyes. Marcus continued. Laura, none of this was your fault. Laura began to cry. And Sophie. Marcus smiled faintly. You were too young to remember me. Maybe that's a mercy. The video distorted. Then Marcus leaned toward the camera. Raven 6, I'm changing route. Do not follow. I felt the old pain return with perfect clarity, the smoke, the broken communications. My voice ordering him to remain in place, his final reply, -6. Bring them home. The video ended. No one spoke. Then the screen activated again. A new timestamp appeared. It was dated 23 days earlier. The image was dark. Only a silhouette could be seen. A man's voice whispered, Elena, if you found the first file, Kane knows. Laura gripped the table. The voice continued. Nathan was weak, not informed. Don't let Kane kill him before he talks. The screen went black. The courtroom remained frozen. Nathan stared at it. That wasn't Marcus. I looked at him. You recognized his voice. No. You knew he might be alive. I didn't. But Kane did. Nathan's expression cracked. For the first time, the polished speaker, grieving brother and successful executive, disappeared. What remained was a frightened man who had accepted money from someone he never understood. Judge Vale ordered the courtroom sealed while federal authorities conferred with the military liaison. Nathan's attorney requested an emergency recess. The judge denied it. Her ruling took less than 30 minutes. The deed transfer was void. Laura remained Sophie's guardian and primary trustee. Nathan was removed from all Reed family trusts and ordered to surrender control of every organization using Marcus's name. The court froze his companies and referred the matter for criminal investigation. As federal officers approached, Nathan looked at me. "Are you happy now?" "No, you took everything. I took nothing. You destroyed my life." I looked toward Sophie and Laura. "You tried to build your life out of theirs." He lowered his voice. "Cain will come for you. He already has." For the first time that day, Nathan told the truth. Laura and Sophie returned home that evening. The moving truck was gone. The furniture had been placed back inside, though nothing was exactly where it had been before. Some betrayals are like that. Even after justice restores what was taken, the room never looks entirely unchanged. Laura stood beside Marcus's photographs. "I spent 11 years believing you hated him. I spent 12 believing I failed him." She looked at the recorder. "He told you not to follow, yes. Did you?" "I tried. What happened? The passage collapsed. Would you have died?" "Probably." She nodded slowly. Marcus knew that. That didn't make it his decision to make. He was always making decisions for people he loved. Sophie entered carrying a small desk lamp. It was old, with a green glass shade. "This was Dad's," she said. "Grandma kept it in the attic." She placed it beside the recorder and switched it on. The warm light filled the corner. "Who left the light on?" she asked. I looked at the message on the recorder. "The man who was never there." Sophie frowned. "What does that mean?" "I don't know yet." My phone vibrated. Another anonymous message appeared. This time it included coordinates. Beneath them were 5 words. Raven 6. Come alone. Midnight. Laura saw my expression. "Is it him?" "I don't know." "Will you go?" I looked toward the lamp. 12 years earlier, Marcus had ordered me to bring everyone else home. I had followed that order, but orders do not erase promises. I took his dog tags from beneath my shirt and placed them in Sophie's hand. "Keep these until I return." She closed her fingers around them. "You're coming back?" "Yes." It was a promise I had made many times before dangerous missions. Some promises had been kept. Others had become names carved into stone. I picked up my coat. Laura followed me to the door. "What will you do if Marcus is alive?" I looked into the darkness beyond the porch. "Bring him home. And if it's a trap..." I opened the door. "Then Victor Cain has underestimated the same woman twice." The coordinates led to an abandoned railway platform 20 miles outside the city. I arrived at 11:57. No backup, no visible surveillance. No lights except the glow of a vending machine inside the empty station. At midnight, a payphone began to ring. I lifted the receiver. For several seconds, there was only static. Then a man breathed my name. "Elena." My hand tightened around the phone. The voice was older, weaker, and unmistakable. "Marcus, don't speak." I closed my eyes. "You're alive. Not for long if Cain finds me. Where are you?" "I can't tell you." "You contacted Sophie." "I needed the recorder unlocked. You let your family believe you were dead. I was trying to keep them alive." Anger rose beneath my ribs. "For 12 years. I didn't have 12 years. "What does that mean?" The line crackled. "I woke up 18 months ago. I stopped breathing," Marcus continued. "Cain kept me sedated, moved me between facilities. He needed something I saw during Silent Lantern." "What?" "The person who authorized the breach. Who was it?" Silence. Then Marcus said, "You already trust him." A sound echoed on his end, a door opening. Marcus lowered his voice. "Caldwell knows more than he told you." The call disconnected. I remained beside the phone. General Thomas Caldwell had saluted me in court. He had defended my service. He had warned me to delete the message, and now the man I had buried 12 years ago was telling me that my oldest mentor might be connected to the operation that destroyed my team. Behind me, a floorboard creaked. I turned. A figure stood at the far end of the platform. He wore a dark coat and held something in his right hand. "Colonel Hayes," he called. I did not recognize his voice. "Mr. Kane would like to speak with you." I stepped away from the payphone. Then he should have come himself. The man smiled. "He thought you might say that." The station lights went out. For 12 years, I had lived as though Operation Silent Lantern was over. That night, I finally understood the truth. The operation had never ended. It had only been waiting for me to turn the light back on.